Copper oxide can be extracted from its ore by displacement with carbon. Use electrons to explain how this can be classified as a redox reaction. Redox is short for reduction oxidation. So to do this, we need to know our definition of oxidation and reduction, and the way we remember that is our mnemonic oil rig. And oil is obviously spelled OIL, so the O stands for oxidation, the I stands for is, and the L for oil in oil is loss, and it's of electrons. So that's our oil. Now rig, so we've got reduction, starts with R, so reduc, and so does rig, starts with R, and then RI, the I again is, and G is gain in rig, gain of electrons. So, and that's our first marking point. Oxidation is loss of electrons, reduction is gain of electrons. So the question here is what's losing and what's gaining electrons? Now to figure that out, we need to know the types of bonding, and because that will help us work out the charges. So first one, copper oxide. Copper, that's a metal. Oxygen, that's a non-metal. Type of bonding with metals and non-metals is ionic. So ionic, ions are charged atoms. So these in here, these atoms are charged. Oxygen, group 6 of the periodic table, so it's going to carry a 2 negative charge. Because the formula here is one of both, we can just deduce immediately that the copper is going to be 2 positive charge. Copper being a transition metal, we can't just look at the periodic table and be told that. Okay, so carbon, an element on its own. Well, elements are always neutrally charged, so there's no charge to the carbon. Copper over here, that's an element, so no charge to that either. Carbon dioxide, well, carbon's a non-metal, oxygen's a non-metal, so this is covalently bonded, so that's not charged. So in this equation, in this reaction, the copper is going from being positively charged to neutrally charged, and the oxide here is going from negatively charged to neutrally charged. So how does it become from negative to neutral? Well, it's going to lose that negative charge, isn't it? It's going to lose that negative charge. Now, what particle is negatively charged? Answer, electrons. So the oxide, to get from O2 minus to carbon dioxide, which is neutral, is losing electrons. Right, the copper, it's gone from positively charged to neutral. Well, how do we get rid of that positive charge? Well, you can't get rid of positive charge because those protons there are locked in the nucleus. So the only thing we can do is balance that positive charge out with more negative. So that copper ion, that Cu2 plus ion, is going to gain electrons to become neutral copper. Okay, so this is what we need to say now. We need to deal with these one at a time. So let's do the copper first. The copper ions are gaining electrons to produce copper metal, or copper atoms if you like. The oxide ions, don't say the oxygen because it's not oxygen, is it? It's copper oxide. So let's be really clear about that. If it's the O2 minus ion, it's the oxide ion. The oxide ions are losing electrons to produce, and we're producing carbon dioxide. Right, all these questions and more on elshamhighchemistry.com.